everyone, it's Blair McInnis with Pemberton Holmes, revic.ca. January 1st, 2019. Happy New Year. I sincerely hope that all of you have a fabulous year. I hope you have lots of exciting things planned, whether that means moving somewhere, selling, buying real estate, whatever it is. I hope that it's a great year for you. So, without further ado, because it's the first of the year, I thought I would offer some market predictions, and just going to touch on a couple of points. But before I jump into it, let's just focus on the last 3 to 4 years in Victoria. So if we go back to, say, 2014, early 2015, that's sort of when this current hot upward swinging market cycle began. Things went from a fairly balanced state in 2014 into a kind of an upward buyer's market in 2015. We had some great pricing back then before things really got crazy hot and kind of switched into seller's territory. So, seller's territory, definitely 2016 and 2017 became very competitive. If you were looking to purchase property, even with condos pretty much everywhere in the greater Victoria area, it got to become very competitive and very difficult for a lot of people buying. Obviously, the latter part of that, if you were selling back then, that was pretty ideal for you. So, at the end of 2017, we saw quite the number of new regulations, new rules come into effect by all different tiers of government. The main one, obviously, that you definitely know about is the speculation tax, vacancy tax. Interest rates changed quite a bit in this past year, 2018. We had a bunch of different rate hikes which further affected the cooling of the market. So I think overall, if you look at the end of 2017 and into this year, moving into, sorry, not this year, into 2018 and then moving into this year that we're in now, we've definitely come out of that hot cycle. So we're at a point where I'd say it's pretty fair to say we're in a balanced market right now. The only anomaly with that would be that we're still at a very low level of inventory, and I don't see that changing anytime soon. There obviously has been a lot of new development, but that's mainly in the West Shore area with single-family detached townhomes, even condos, and then if you focus on the core of Victoria, it's really just condos, essentially. Moving on with the topic here, some predictions for the year. I think, as I've said, we're kind of in a balanced market still right now, aside from low inventory. It's definitely slowed down in the latter half of 2018 as all the new, regulations came into effect. You have, the foreign buyer's tax, you have increase to the proposed school tax, vacancy spec tax. You have some different lower level regulations from the local government here in Victoria regarding Airbnb and business licensing for that. So interest rate hikes by the Bank of Canada in the later half of 2018 as well. If you combine all those things together and look at the bigger picture, that really had a negative effect on the market overall in terms of sales volume and inventory. So I know that if you watch the news regularly, you'll probably constantly hear the same thing about housing affordability. Really what that comes down to, though, is still supply and demand. And unfortunately, in the core of Victoria, we just don't have the land mass to produce huge numbers of new inventory. Really the only way that happens is by having condominiums and townhomes built, and affordable housing too for rental, which absolutely is important. And I think for many, many years, Victoria was kind of undervalued. It still is in some ways. And I think that people have woken up to that. We've had a lot of influence from across Canada. I would say that that's probably the biggest influence, actually. It's not so much foreign buyers. It's a very small percentage when you look at the data on that, but really it's people coming to the West Coast looking for lifestyle, looking for, you know, a great place to live. And that has everything to do with why demand is so high. So I think in 2019 we are likely to see probably headed into kind of a flat market state because of all the different rules and regs that were implemented in the latter half of last year. I think that it's going to continue to kind of stall and put people on the fence. That's kind of a term I always go to, is that I think there's going to be a lot of buyers that are sitting on the fence waiting to see what happens. Do I think pricing is going to come down? I think we might have some very minimal adjustments, but overall long term, I really doubt that things are going to decrease that much. I think we'll have kind of a cooling period. We'll come into a balanced, flat type of market cycle, and then we'll swing right out of it again. Obviously, the question with that one is, when will that happen? It's hard to say. I think probably interest rates are the main thing to be focusing on. If they increase, it'll cool it further, and that will delay the market cycle from swinging the other way again. That's just the nature of it. If you have been in real estate long enough, and especially in our market here, that's just historically, typically the way that things go. So 2019, quick recap. I think flat markets, probably the call. Inventory, more or less the same, unchanged. Interest rates, probably staying the same for the foreseeable future, maybe increasing. Pricing overall decreasing, marginally maybe. I think a competitive area will definitely be pre-sale condos because there's been such a boom with that over the last couple of years. So we may see, you know, some developers get more competitive with their pricing, which would be a good thing. But time will tell, and that's it. As I said before, if you get anything out of my videos, by all means hit the subscribe button down there and a thumbs up, or both. That would be great. Thanks so much for watching. It's Blair McInnis with Pemberton Homes, revic.ca.